Kia ora, welcome to Under the Checkered Flag, MotoGP edition. I'm your host Kate, and we're just going to jump right in.
So, as we get up to the Solidarity Grand Prix, which is what it's being called, it's Barcelona 2.0, but with all sales and donations going towards Valencia's rebuild, which is wonderful. We've got lots to talk about in terms of things happening off track, and then we're going to get into a bit of a prediction roundup to see where we are, and then our predictions for the final Grand Prix of the year. Before we do get into those predictions, though, some silly season news. One thing that I am super happy about, given the fact that I am an Aaron Canet fan, is finding out who his teammate at Fantic Racing is going to be, and it's Barry Baltus. I love this just because it means that we will have two teams to properly support next year, because obviously your guys' riders are at KTM IO, and now Fantic also has a great lineup. What do you guys think about Baltus being Canet's teammate and joining Fantic Racing?
I'm not annoyed about the move per se. It's just the fact that it is like Barry is what 20th Moto2 season at this point. It's a better team than what Barry is currently at. So I feel if he moves to a team like Fantic, he may actually be able to show off what he can do. But as it stands, I don't think he'd be specifically good enough to go to a team like Fantic. But maybe I'm totally wrong and he could perform better. But like I said, it is like his 20th Moto2 season. I don't think he's going to be going to MotoGP, and I think the seat could have gone to maybe a rider who was better, I guess we could say. Because like I said, Fantic, great team. It could have gone to a rider who has more of a chance of getting into MotoGP, but that might just be me. Once again, it's a good lineup. I think they can do some good things.
I think the biggest issue with Baltus's current team, RW Racing, is I'm fairly sure they're still on year-old Calexes, so they're not on like up-to-date bikes. So the team's sort of been like that for a while, where they haven't really been able to fight. So I'm excited to see what he can do on a bike that's more up to date and sort of a better team that's further up the field generally. Honestly, just sort of hoping he can do a bit better than Cardelus has done this year, because he's not really been very noteworthy this year with some of his performances.
I agree with you both. Barry's been around for quite a while, and I'm not denying he's talented. We know that. He wouldn't be on the grid if he wasn't. But we only see sort of flashes of his talent, I suppose. And yeah, I think next year's make it or break it time. If he doesn't perform on a team that's clearly got a race winning bike. But a bit more exciting news comes in the terms of Moto 3 silly season. We got it confirmed that Álvaro Carpe will be with KTM IO Motorsport in Moto 3, sorry, and this is super exciting. Obviously, he's done so well in Red Bull Rookies, but not only is he going to be with the team in 2025, he is also wildcarding this coming weekend at Barcelona. It's a pretty good track for him, and this is a two-part question to you both. The first part of the question is, what do you think of the signing? We did all sort of know it was a done deal before the official announcement came out. So that's part one. What do you think of the signing? Part two is, how do you think he's going to do this weekend?
It was a good signing, like you said, though. It was very expected. It was more of a case of just sitting there and waiting for the announcement to come out. But it's not exactly a signing I'd say is bad. Like he is, a Rebel rookie champion. Um, as how he goes this weekend, it's going to be tough. I'd say. I don't think it's going to be something he's able to get to grips with really quickly. He won't be quick. We'll put it that way. He's going to be near the bottom end, but I'm hoping for a weekend where he can just stay on the bike, put it that way, finish the races. Yeah, I'm hoping for a good weekend from him. But in terms of the signing, very expected, but I think he can genuinely do well. He's a talented young lad, so I could definitely see him going far.
Yeah, as you've both said, it was basically confirmed probably a few months ago. But with the team that he's in the IO team, the talent that they've sort of brought up and pushed on to like stardom almost, I feel like it'll be quite exciting to see how he can do. Obviously, he's the third rider in a row who's won the Rookies Cup and Junior GP title in the same year, and it could be a battle between the other two next year in Rueda and Piqueras. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do, both in the wild card, sort of where the pressure's off, and then next year where there's probably a bit more pressure as a full-time rider.
I have to admit, next year I think that pressure's going to be on him quite a bit, especially given the expectations on his shoulders, so to speak, because he's clearly incredibly talented and it's exciting, but also I hope that he does get the opportunity to develop. One thing I just want to note is that it does look like the Moto3 and Moto2 teams will be retaining their name, even though Akiayo is moving, I suppose, away from them a little bit and moving into MotoGP, but that's just something I found quite interesting. On to some silly season news in the way of superbikes. Today it was, sorry, we're recording this on Sunday, so today, Sunday time, down under time, that is, we got confirmation that Filippo Farioli will be Boben Snyder's. It's just too many syllables for me to pronounce that, I swear. He'll be his teammate in the Supersport World Championship this year. I think it's quite exciting, and we're seeing a lot of people, it seems, making the shift towards superbikes and supersport at the moment. Do you guys think this is the right move? If not, could you see a place for him staying in the World Championship grid?
I would say no. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think Farioli is ever gonna get even close to MotoGP. I know it's a harsh thing to say, but it's right. So I feel like a move to obviously Superbike and Supersport is very good. Happy to see him alongside Bo Ben Snyder. I'm still very annoyed after what happened to him and his team. I don't even want to discuss that team at the minute. It was disgusting what they did to him. But I'm just happy he has a team, like something that feels like family. And Supersport isn't exactly a joke championship. Like it's still a very good championship. And to have a teammate like Farioli, I think it's actually weirdly enough, I think it's going to be a really solid lineup, and I'm actually really excited to see what they'll do.
Yeah, it'd be far from the first rider to go from the GP paddock over to Supersport. I feel like half the grid over there's in the past been in the GP paddock, and it hasn't always gone too badly for some of them. Most notably, probably Nicolo Bulaga, who's up there fighting for championships in superbikes now. So I feel like it could be a good move. He wasn't really spectacular in Moto 3, so it would be good to see him in a new championship, learning some new things, and yeah, hopefully challenges at the front a bit more in Supersport.
Before we get on to our predictions, given the fact that both of you are possibly not going to be here next week and it'll just be me rambling by myself, I thought we'd just touch on Junior GP because we now have confirmation of, given the situation in Valencia and Spain, that Junior GP will be hosting their last round of the season on the same dates, the 25th to the 27th of November, but it will be happening in Portugal. And obviously, we want Cormac to do well. It's really exciting what he's doing, and although it is looking a little bit less likely that he will be on the Grand Prix grid next year, I'm still holding out hope. What do you guys think that Junior GP will look like this year? Where do you see your favorite riders placing?
Honestly, I agree with you. As much as we do want Cormac to do well, he's not going to. I don't even think he's going to get a podium this weekend, and it does pain me a lot to say, just judging of luck this season. To be honest, he's been very quick in races where he's been put like very far down the field. He's made very good places, but just in terms of luck, he hasn't been able to get that amount of luck to get a win or some good podiums. Unfortunately, the same for Casey O'Gorman. I could say it's just the poor lad hasn't had the best of luck in this season, and it does hurt me. It does hurt me a lot because you could call it Irish bias, but I wouldn't say it's Irish bias. It's just personal preference. He just hasn't had the season that I want him to have. Same with Buchanan. It's just really bad in terms of how it's not Irish bias, as I reiterate. In terms of championship, it's kind of been the same, to be honest. I can't really word it another way. Like it's just been quite boring. If I'm being honest, Carpe leading, shock horror. Crusades and Giles, Uriarte, they're all like very good riders and they've just been dominating the entire season. Like every time you watch a race, you just expect one of them at least to be on the podium, and it's just kind of a given. If we look at Buchanan, he's currently eighth. I believe, if I'm not totally mistaken, one podium throughout the season, which for like one podium throughout the season, the amount of points he has is actually quite impressive. He just hasn't had the luck for a podium. So I beg that in Portugal he gets one, but I might be just totally I forgot the delusional. I might be delusional wishing for that, but I hope it happens.
Yeah, I haven't been paying as much attention to Junior GP this year as you guys, but even I've sort of gotten that feeling that Cormac hasn't had the best year that he possibly could have. Just a few unlucky races here and then, a few unlucky like qualifying sessions. But uh, with in the positions that he's been in, he's shown some good speed. He's made some good comeback rides through the field. So if he's in Junior GP next year, he can get some of that sort of sorted and be further up, fighting more for wins and podiums, then I feel like he could be on the grid hopefully in 2026. It's not looking likely next year, but yeah, hoping he can sort of show a bit more of the talent that he has in Junior GP probably next year.
And I appreciate you both for bearing with me through these surprise questions. Unfortunately for you, Kelly, there is an extra surprise question that Poz got a little bit of heads up for, but it's much more easy to answer, I think, and that is the battle for P3 in the MotoGP class, because there's 1 point in it between Marc Marquez and Enea Bastinini. I am rooting for Enea Bastinini, which I never thought I'd do over Marc Marquez. But which rider do you guys think is going to come out on top and secure P3?
In terms of who I want to get it, it'll be Enea Bastinini. In terms of who I think will get it, it'll be Marc Marquez. He's consistently flat out. Like if you look at the races, every time he's crashed, whenever it's on his own accord, it's because he's been going flat out. That guy wants P3 in the championship, and he'll do nothing to not get it. I really, really wanted to be Enea to just prove to Ducati this is who you're losing. I like decision the way they made the decision. It still irritates me to this day. I'm not saying Mark doesn't deserve it, he definitely does, but to get rid of Enea like that, it's messed up. And I'm very annoyed over it, so I'm hoping Enea will do the performances and be like, this is the man you're losing. Good luck and go. And I hope he does it, but yeah, like I said, in terms of who will get it, it'll be Mark.
Yeah, I'd like to see Enea be able to take sort of a positive to KTM next year in beating Mark for third in the title. And the only thing that I feel like he really has going his way is the fact that he's on more up to date Ducati this year. Was just looking at the results from Barcelona last year, and Mark, I think, finished second in the sprint and finished third in the race, and Enea finished fifth in the sprint and out of the points in the race. So just based on that, it's not looking great for Enea, but I'm hopeful that he can get it done just because I think he also deserves it.
I like how we're all like sort of Marc Marquez fans, but all of us are so annoyed at Ducati that we all just want Enea to just, you know, wipe the floor with it all. So let's look at predictions, because this championship, I'd say it's wide open, but it really isn't. I'm in P3 on 389 points. Kelly is in P2 on 426 points. And PozzA is in P1 on 468 points. So let's get on to the predictions. I am going to insist, just in an attempt to totally sway things in my direction, PozzA, I'd like your Moto3 predictions first, please.
Nothing much has changed from the last probably 5 or 6 months who I'm predicting. E3, I've gone for Ivan Ortola just based on sort of like the form from Barcelona earlier this year. He was on the podium, I think, in second. So I'm thinking he'll be quite strong again. In second, I've gone Colin Vire, a result that would put him second in the standings ahead of Danny Holgado. I feel like he'll be sort of pushing for that before they both make the jump up to Moto2 next year. And Danny Holgado hasn't been on great form recently, so I feel like it could be quite slam dunk for Vire. And absolutely shockingly, I've gone for David Alonso in P1 just because he seems like he's won the last pretty much every race for the last few weeks, months, maybe even years, we don't know. But as my reserve, I've gone for Jose Antonio Rueda again, just because historically he's been quite quick in Barcelona. So I think he'll be in the fight, hopefully.
My Moto3 predictions are a little bit changed from usual, but they're not that much changed. Going from P1 as I always do. Who's gonna guess? David Alonso. Shock, horror. He's just been too dominant. Like you can't, like, if you don't go from at this point, you're stupid. P2, Colin Vire. Shock, horror. As always, I do want him to be in P1, but that's just not gonna happen. So he is P2. P3, I've actually gone with Tayo Furusato. Given his recent performances, he's very quick, and he has got his podium the other weekend. So I'm hoping he can do it again, and I just hope for it for him as well. He deserves it. And as a reserve, I've gone Ivan Ortola. He's a little bit back on form, so
So I have nothing to lose. I'm the one that is definitely win it or bin it. So naturally, that's going to reflect in my predictions. I do think Alonso is going to take that top spot. I'm going for Ivan Ortola because I really need some solid results here where you guys aren't going to do so well. In P2, I'm actually matching the theme. I'm going Colin Vire. I feel like I don't really know how to explain what I want him to do. I want him to win races, but I just feel like his height is actually starting to be a bit of a disadvantage. In P3, I've gone for Danny Holgado. Admittedly, this season hasn't been super strong, but I'm just hoping for a good result. P4, reserve, I'm going for my favourite, Stefano Neppa. Moto 2, I wanted to go for Furman Aldeguer, but we don't even know if he's going to be racing yet. So I'm going to go in P3, Manu Gonzalez. I do think he's going to have a strong race. He did suffer last year from a grid drop earlier in the season from a grid drop. In P2, I'm actually going to go with Dennis Onshu. I just think that now he's actually up to speed on the bike. I think it'll be quite interesting. And in P1, I'm going with Ayagura.
Yeah, I've again quite strongly based mine on, first of all, the last Barcelona race, but also a bit more of the recent races. In P3, I've gone Ayagura just because he was strong in the last race here, but at the same time, there were so many podium contenders that crashed out that day. So in second, I've gone for Aaron Canet because he's been up there recently, and what better way would it be to sum up his season than finishing in second? And for the win, I've gone for Vietti because he's looked strong recently and be a sort of send off before he goes to speed up next year. So I think he can get the job done. And as my reserve, I've gone Jake Dixon just because it's a track he's always strong at. And I think he got on the podium earlier in the year, so I think he'll be in the fight.
As always, have not changed dramatically. Um, in P1, I have Argura, even though he didn't finish the race last weekend, it was only because of a mechanical issue. I feel like he still would have done very well if he was able to finish it out. So I have him P1, and then P2, I of course have Aaron Canet. It's just obvious at this point. Like Paul said, I'd like him to finish out the season on a high in second place, as per usual. In P3, I have Jake Dixon. I still have hope. I have hope for myself. I have hope for Jake Dixon. Thoughts and prayers are going to this man. So I'm hoping that he just gets his podium. Please, please let him just get his podium. And as a reserve, I have also gone for Manny Gonzalez. He's been historically quite quick around this track, and I feel like if he doesn't get another grid penalty, he'll do quite well. So that is mine. And then moving straight on to sprint, I have Pecco Bagnaia in P1. Delusion. I have dethroned the sprint king again, purely for my delusions of Pecco Bagnaia winning the championship. I have Jorge Martin P2 because obviously he wants that championship and he's going to be right behind Pecco. P3, I have Marc Marquez consistently pushing. Once that P3 in the championship will likely get it. And as reserve, I have Enea Bastinini because I love him and I want him to do well. So that's mine.
Well, mine are a bit similar, but I'm going quite a bit delusional because I can be. So in P3, I'm going for Jorge Martin. I just think he's going to be playing it as safe. Um, yeah, he's just going to play it safe. And I just think that's the smart choice to make. In P2, I'm putting Pecco Bagnaia because he needs to risk it a little bit more. But as Poz predicted in our podcast chat, which you guys can't see, but I'll throw the screenshot up. I'm going for Pedro Acosta to win this because I need some good results and I also really want Pedro Acosta to win. No, PozzA, you don't get points for that. My reserve for this one is going to be Brad Binder because the KTMs are a little bit stronger here. But PozzA, what are your sprint predictions?
I've played it very safe, I feel. Um, I've gone for Marc Marquez in P3, again, just based on last year's form. I've gone for Pecco Bagnaia in second and Jorge Martin to win. I think he'll just want to get the title wrapped up as soon as he can. And I feel like the best way to do that's obviously just winning the sprint. And as my reserve, I've gone Enea Bastinini just because I feel like these four will be the sort of top four as they have been for most of the year. And onto my predictions for the race, I've gone for quite a similar pick of four riders. I've gone Marc Marquez in P3 again, even though I said I hope Bastianini will end up finishing third in the championship. I still think Marc probably will get the job done in the end. And second, I've gone Jorge Martin just because I feel like he'll have a bit less to push for. Honestly, I almost debated putting him off the podium, but I still feel like he'll finish the season strong. And I've gone for Bagnaia to win the race, just like he did earlier in the season. And again, as my reserve, I've gone Enea Bastianini.
For mine, I have gone with Pecco Bagnaia for my race winner because, like I said, delusion for the championship. He will win it, believe me. Believe me. I of course then have Jorge Martin in P2 because even if Kate thinks he's gonna be Careful, I think he's got to be careful, but quick enough to finish P2. He wants it. Marc Marquez, P3, like I said, he wants the P3 in the championship, so I'll let him have it. And then, just for fun, because I don't think I'm going to be catching pause in this prediction race, I have gone with Marco Bezzecchi as my reserve for fun, because why not? At this point, I'm not going to win, so I might as well have fun with it.
I don't know how to tell you this, Kelly, but number one, you've probably just given up any chance at P1 in the predictions podcast. But also, if Martin finishes P2 to Pecco in both races, like you've predicted, he still wins the championship. So
I don't really care. I really don't. At this point, I really don't care. I just want Pecco to get some wins and make me feel happy about the situation at hand.
I'm super ready for Surly Pecco on the podium because that's exactly what I predicted. I predicted, the exact same podium for the sprint and the Grand Prix. I put Jorge Martin in P3, Pecco Bagnaia in P2, and Pedro Acosta in P1, with Brad Binder as my reserve. I'm in full delusion mode, and I'm also in full send it mode because I want to at least stand a chance of gaining some points back, and I really hope I break that 400
PozzA's beer is still
mark
going to be
or
on
that
ice.
400
But
point
thank
score
you all for
in
listening.
our
Like and subscribe
prediction
if you're coming back.
championship. If you're enjoying this, or if you just want some more MotoGP content, we're here most Mondays. Have a wonderful weekend.